If you've ever lost yourself trying to love someone who only broke you down, this is for you. I'm Deborah, and I spent over 23 years married to a narcissist. Today, I want to share the truth about how I started healing and how you can too. All right, so let's get into it. A bit of a backstory. I met my ex-husband at the age of 14. We got married when I was 20. He was 18 when we married. He was 18 when we met, and he was 25 when we got married. So that was the beginning of our marriage, and I just want to give you a bit of a backstory. Some signs that I ignored early on, like the controlling, who looked at me, different things, just all that, a lot of jealousy. And I dealt with it, and I just, I won't say I ignored it in a sense because I continued the relationship. But yes, I ignored those signs of jealousy and insecurity and controlling, things like that. But I still continued on with the marriage. But it took a while for me to accept fully, wholeheartedly, that it was not love, it was control. And yeah, it took a lot of years, and I will just be transparent. It took a lot of years, a lot of, him leaving and coming back and forth, and just, a whole lot of mental abuse and mental strain and all kinds of things that went on. And that's when I finally, when I reached my breaking point, I will say. When I reached my breaking point, this was it was before the pandemic. I want to say it was I had been in early 2019 when he left, actually, because my first grandson was born in 2019 in February, so he left that March. But that's when I had reached my breaking point. Is a little bit before that, I had taken ill. I was having all kind of, gastric stomach issues and things like that. My migraines had increased significantly, and all he could do was try to rush me to get well, try to rush and fix it, instead of giving me a little bit of the grace that I had given him so many years during our marriage. And that was my breaking point. At that point, I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to beg him to stay. He said he was leaving. I fought back the tears, and I said, okay. And there it was. He started getting the things in order, and shortly after that, he left. And then we proceeded with the divorce after the, transitional period and everything. And that was the beginning of me regaining myself, reclaiming me, getting my freedom back. Now, the beginning of my healing, of course. Some specific things that helped me, of course. One was therapy. And of course, my spiritual counseling. Because I, was already going to church and continued going to church and praying and things like that. And actually, it was a while before I told my pastor that he had actually left, though. I will say that. I'll be transparent with that. But nobody wants to admit that your marriage is ending, no matter what's going on in it, right? But as far as, like I said, the therapy, we actually started going to therapy. Well, we went to therapy together at first in the beginning, I'll say. And then the therapist actually recommended that we do separate counseling as well and bring it back together. And he disagreed with that. And he never went back after the first session, no trying or anything. But I continued going to work on myself, because I never said I was perfect. So I continued going to work on me and my healing. And I continue to this day, because we all need, that extra help, that extra healing, that professional healing, professional support, So I continue to go to therapy and work through different things in my life as I'm healing, because I was with this man over 2 decades. That's a long span of my life. And I'm only in my late 40s, so that was a long majority of my life. So it takes time to heal from that. But some of the specific things that I will say that I am doing to help with healing also are writing and sharing my story. Now, with my divorce, with the marriage and divorce, in the beginning, I wrote a poetry book, my first poetry book collection. It was just a short, maybe 20, 30 poems. I wrote, no, I think it was like 32, 34, but I wrote those poems. Everything that I was feeling as we were going through the separation, I wrote it down. I wrote it in poetry format, everything that I was feeling, and I put it in a book. And that's how I express my feelings. It's healing, therapeutic to me. And then I, just continued on. And another thing that I had to learn how to do is create boundaries. And doing that, it helps you to reclaim your identity, because when you set boundaries, you take charge of your life. You take charge of what's going to go on, what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept, and you move forward with that. So that's how I started my healing journey. It's focusing on me with my therapy, because that benefits me, right? And then, of course, writing. I still write to this day. I wrote that poetry book. I wrote another one as I was going through the transitional period of navigating being, separated and divorced. As the divorce eventually happened, I wrote about all of that in poetry format. Learning about life and dating and things of that nature. We'll get into that later on. And also, of course, like I said, creating those boundaries and reclaiming my identity. No more was I completely, I'll do whatever they say, or they do whatever he says. I just want to make him happy. I had to start figuring out what makes Deborah happy, what makes me at peace. And that's how I began healing on my healing journey. And in that's why, a big part of why I started the writing, and and publishing the writing. I won't say just the writing, because sometimes you could just write and just keep it to yourself. But I felt the need and the calling to share what I had written in order to help someone else on their healing journey, because we're all going through something. And going through narcissistic abuse, I didn't even know what a narcissist was before I hit my breaking point. And then I just started, when I was searching online, I just started writing down, the emotional abuse, or, they're controlling me, or doesn't want me to do it. You just put in different topics of the things that are going on, and everything just started resonating with me. And I was like, wow, that was an eye-opener for me. It's like I knew I was in the relationship wasn't healthy, but I didn't even honestly think that I was being abused per se, because he wasn't physically harming me. My ex-husband never physically harmed me, but emotionally he did. And emotional abuse is abuse. Those scars are deep within. They last probably, I won't say longer, but they do last, because they're hidden. People don't know, but and you go through all kinds of things with that. So they don't just go away just because you cannot see them. But I said all that to say, I just wanted to share my story with you all. And this channel is all about healing and growing. And I just had to share 3 things that have helped me on my healing journey. And I hope that they can resonate with you in some way, and that they can help you on your healing journey. And what I would like to do and welcome you, of course, is if you're watching this, and let you know that you're not alone. I'm here. And unfortunately, there are a lot of us here. But healing is messy, but you are worthy of it. So just remember that. And with that, I will appreciate if you could like, comment, share your experience if you feel comfortable to do so. Subscribe for weekly healing content on this channel, and come back for more, and I will be sharing more with you all, and as we all help each other and grow on this channel. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, click like, share, and subscribe. This is Deborah J with Healing Through Narcissistic Abuse.